Good morning, book friends. It is Monday, June the 3rd. So this week we are actually going to be going out of town. So we're actually flying to Georgia, and this is going to be a trip with our church. My husband and I are going to be officiating at this national festival, and so it's held in Georgia this year. So a little bit more on that later, but you will get to see some of that in this vlog. I'll talk more about that later, but this morning I am excited because I got to finish another book, and that is the book Persuasion by Jane Austen. Again, this is a bind up, so that's why it's super huge, but I wanted to give you my thoughts on this book. So this book is about Anne Elliot, and she rejects this proposal from her lover. They have loved each other for a long time, and he proposes, but then a woman that she admires basically tells Anne to reject him. And so Anne follows that advice, and then years later you see that he is a captain, and Anne has always loved him, and he is harboring this bitterness towards her, but we know that he has risen up in rank, not married, and the story ensues from there. So now that I got into reading a little bit more, just focusing on that book, I found that it was easier to read. So I liked it. I mean, Jane Austen is a author that I just kind of right in the middle. I'm not very big on classics generally, so I didn't think this was bad. I thought it was a sweet story. I thought it was, nice. Definitely liked it better than Lady Susan. So, I mean, it's kind of hitting the 3.5 stars. That's not a bad rating. It's just I'm glad I read it. Kind of middle of the pack for me. It's good, but not really memorable. So, yeah, that's kind of the rating. And even my favorite Jane Austen book, it's not rated a 5-star. I love Sense and Sensibility. That one's one of my favorite collection from hers. But just because it's so hard for me to read the classics, and sometimes it gets very detailed in the writing, I don't often go and really enjoy the read. Sense and Sensibility is even like a 4, if at most. So I just know that I'm just not a huge Jane Austen fan, but her works are, nice to read. Like Pride and Prejudice is another one that I do like. I think I rated that also like a 4 at highest, but yeah. So classics for me are hard to rate 5s, even if I love them, with the exception of Little Women. I absolutely adored that book. So, yeah. I am glad though, because I have read all of Jane Austen's works now, and if I happen to go back, I can read it with an understanding of the story and maybe do more of a thorough analysis if I reread it for a book club or something. I figured that would be the most fun to do, is to read these classics through a book club, because that's more discussion and all of that. So, all right. Now that I have completed that, I will update everything on my Goodreads and Storygraph. And so how today looks like is that as we were preparing for this trip, because on Wednesday is when we leave, early Wednesday morning, we are going to prepare for the trip. And in the evening, I'm hoping to just chill with my husband. We have a movie that we would like to just watch together, and that is Fireproof. We have seen this movie multiple times. It is a movie that's just gets you in the feels. I have cried multiple times watching this movie, but it would be nice to sit down and have a movie night with him. So that's the plan for this day, and mostly reading too as well. I have one more book that I would like to finish that will completely finish up all the books that I rolled over, and then I can start on my books for this month. So I want to read A Life Intercepted first because it actually sets place in Georgia. I don't know where in Georgia, but I thought that would be really cool to read while I'm on my trip in Georgia. So that works out. So hopefully I can get The Mark of the Raven done either today or tomorrow. I haven't really picked up that book yet because I was focusing on Persuasion. Oh, one more thing. I wanted to update you guys. We have fixed the flea problem, which I am so happy. We actually did not use the fogger, which is the one where it gets all over the house. We decided instead to spray the areas. We initially wanted to do the foggers just so we can get the house completely doused so we didn't like miss any certain spots, but upon rethinking about it, because we have our nephews that do come over basically weekly, I didn't want to expose them to that, and rather my husband was the one who mentioned that, and so we thought just to spot spray and do that. We did that yesterday and that has fixed it, and then of course like we took care of our dog and are continuing to like monitor him and all of that, and hopefully the storms will be done because the biggest thing is our yard. So we haven't really been taking our dog towards the backyard. We've been doing the front yard, so that way my husband can thoroughly spray the yard, but he doesn't want to do that with it like raining. So hopefully that gets done today, and then managing it. So anyway, but as far as in the home, it is completely done, and I am very happy that we got that situated. So enjoy this week with me, and we'll just kind of go with the flow. So all right, I will be updating my Goodreads right now, and maybe some journaling too. I do miss doing that. So I guess I'll pop in when I have an update. Okay, so as I was reviewing the book online, I noticed in my journal that this is the Southern Charm Readathon list that I had. But as I was updating it in my journal, I noticed that I never updated you guys about the Southern Charm Readathon. So I'm sorry about that. I'm going to go ahead and do that now in this vlog, but I'm going to go through the prompts real quickly and tell you what I did read for the readathon, and just kind of do a quick wrap up. This readathon was hosted by Amanda, and there were a lot of co-hosts, so I will just link Amanda down below, and she has a list of all her co-hosts on there. The first prompt was Bless Your Heart, an emotional or heartwarming read. I did complete that, and I completed it with The Extraordinary Deaths of Mrs. Kipp. The next one was Sweet Tea, a book with something sweet on the cover or a sweet story. I did put He Should Have Told the Bees, but I did not finish that in May. In fact, I finished it on the 1st of June, so technically it's June, so I did not complete that one. The next prompt is Hot as Blue Blazes, a hot setting, and for that I chose The Secret Chord, but I did DNF that book, and I don't believe I read anything else that had a hot setting in it. Maybe The Extraordinary Deaths of Mrs. Kipp was set, I think it was set in Kansas, but I'm not sure if that's considered. It was in June, so it might have been a hot place, so yeah, maybe that one will count. Next one is Heavens to Betsy, mystery/thriller that will shock you. Initially, I put Submerged, but I did not get to that one, but I'm going to put The Letter Keeper by Charles Martin because that one is a thriller and there was some things in there that did shock me. The next one was All the Fixins, a book in multiple genres, and for that I picked The Selection and I did complete it. The next one, Chicken and Dumpling, a book you think will be a comfort read, and for that I chose Fish in a Tree and I did complete that. Next one was Hey Y'all, a book with more than one POV. That one was The Extraordinary Deaths of Mrs. Kipp and I did complete it. Howdy Partner is the last one, and it's a book featuring friendship or family, and that I chose Stories In, and I did complete that. So, not bad. I did do better, I think, this year than I did last year, unless I completed it last year. I don't really remember. Anyway, now that you know about the wrap up there, I also realized that I have 3 books I want to share with you. So, in my game, if I win, I get to pick a book that is on my wish list. And I usually wait until I win like 2 months in a row, so that way when I purchase the item off of Amazon, I can get free shipping. So I have my 2 books here, and in addition to that, the other day when I went to the library with my husband, they had a book sale going on, and there was a book that has caught my eye, and I realized that it was in the last book sale they had and it was still not bought, so I figured I might as well get it. It's only $1. So I'm going to share 3 books with you. So I'm going to go ahead and do the book sale one first, and that one is Counted with the Stars by Colleen Cassette. And I have a book from her on my shelf, but I haven't read it yet, and it's part of my 20 and 2024. But I saw this one, and I've seen a lot of people have raved about it. This is about an Egyptian who is living at the time of the plagues that are happening in Egypt when the Israelites were staying there. And I'm, very intrigued by this story. The cover is gorgeous. I love the stars in that cover area. So, and there's something pleasing about the complementary colors like this navy blue and this orange. So I am excited that I got that. And the 2 books that I did choose for winning the game, one of them is no surprise, because if you've been on my channel, you know that I've raved about this series, I guess, or this book, and actually raved about both of these. So I'm going to go and choose the first one, but this is In This Moment by Gabriel Meyer. I've been wanting to get into the second book, but I've been holding off until I could, win again on my game so I can purchase another book. But this is part of that timeless series where the woman who's a time crosser, and she wakes up in one timeline, and the next day she wakes up in the other timeline, and then she has until her 21st birthday to pick the time that she wants to live in. And so this is the next in that series, and it's very pretty. I love the colors. So I cannot wait to get started into that one. And then the other book has also been on my list for the longest time, and this is an author that I just absolutely adore, and that is Tessa Afshar, and this is the second book in her duology for, I don't think it has a name, but the first one is The Hidden Prince, and this is The Peasant King, and so this is book 2 of that. And because my husband bought me The Hidden Prince for Christmas a year ago, or whenever it came out, he got me the hard copy, and so that's why I held off to buy this one in its hard copy form, and I wanted to have a matching set. And so it's really pretty. The book underneath, though, underneath the dust jacket, has this rose gold, but in The Hidden Prince it's like this mustard yellow, which I thought was really cool. So yeah, and again, that is a dark green, which I love, and so I am very excited about this one. I've been wanting to read this book for a while, especially since she's coming out with another book in November, and that's going to be a Queen Esther sort of retelling, but it's not the perspective of Queen Esther. You don't follow her, you follow the cook that is in Queen Esther's house, from what I gathered. So I want to read this first, and then I want to read the other one. But I have been up to date with Tessa's books. So, okay, so those were the mini haul. We'll see you in another one.
Okay, love. I'm honest. Faithfulness. I care about people. I am those things sometimes. But have you loved God, the one who gave you life? His standards are so high, he considers hatred to be murder and lust to be adultery.
Good morning. It is, well, technically still morning. It's 11:44, but today is June the 4th, and it's a Tuesday, and I have completed Mark of the Raven by Morgan L. Bussey. If it would focus. I don't know why it's not focusing very well. I think I accidentally put my camera on cinema. Sorry about that, but anyway, I do want to just give you an update over the book. This is about a woman who is a dream walker, and she is training to be like this manipulator assassin, and she kind of walks into people's dreams, can kind of manipulate them and find like their deepest fears, and that's like all that she's training to be. And the story kind of ensues from there. Like that's the big idea. And this world is built between like different houses. They call them each house possesses like a certain gifting, and only that could be passed down through like, you know, with a marking of some sort, like a birthmark, like you possess that house's gifting, and the gifting is supposed to help like your people and your land. And it's pretty cool to see what each house stands for. There's like a house of light, there's a house of water, the Ravenwood house, which are dreamwalkers, and like there's a house of wisdom and all of that. So this world that's being created is very interesting. See how the giftings are. So I really like to see that Christian allegory, like the light. They call it like the traditional deity, but we know that that's God. And in the first chapter, you hear about like the Dark Lady, and you're trying to figure out who that is. Or at least I was trying to figure out like, okay, what is this really who I think it is? Or is this like their version of what they think the light is? And yeah, so with that being said, I will say that I gave this as a Christian faith rating of a 3 because of all of the allegories that are there. And I love the writing style. It had me engaged to the max. Like especially the last few chapters. If you've read this book, it really I don't know, I feel like I really want to read the second book to see what else happens, but I'm very much intrigued in reading the next part of it. And characters were great. I really love character development. And yeah, I will say that I gave this a 4.5 stars. So really, a really high rating. I couldn't quite give it a whole 5 stars. And that's because it is pretty dark, especially when they kind of talk about that manipulating fears and stuff. It kind of gets to a dark place. And even when the mention of the Dark Lady, that was a little borderline creepy for me, and a little kind of was like on that borderline of that creepiness, and I was feeling very uncomfortable. And because of that, I did half a star. But overall, I think it is very well thought out. I would recommend this book. I'm going to try to get that second book because it left on a cliffhanger and I really need to know what happened. So now today's agenda is We are going to be packing for our trip tomorrow. We are leaving at 7 a.m. I'm going to have to make sure that, you know, the house is ready for our departure and we have all of our things packed. So we did have some rain earlier today, just scattered storms. And you know what? This is a great change of pace. Last summer, we just had heat that was unbearable. We were in the triple digits about this time. And now I'm just thankful that, you know, these little bit of rainstorms that we have has brought cooler weather. And I'm also thankful about no flooding. That is great. Still need to spray the yard, but I will take the cooler weather. It has just been so great. So, oh, I wanted to mention last night we ended up watching Fireproof, and that is an emotional movie, y'all. If you have not seen it, I would highly recommend it. Now, it is very emotional, and I would recommend watching it with a box of tissues. I have cried like 3 times in that movie. But for those who don't know, Fireproof is a Christian film directed by the Kendrick brothers, and I have all of their movies. They're coming out with a new one this summer, and I'm not sure what the date is, but it's called The Forge. So I am so stoked about that, and I do want to own it. So I am planning on buying that when that gets released. Anyway, Fireproof. It is about a marriage that is struggling, and basically it is at the point to where something's got to give, or the marriage will be terminated. And it's all about finding what real love is, what that hope is in, and we know that that is through Christ. So I'm trying not to give a lot away, but you follow the 2 couples. One is a firefighter, he's the firefighter, and you have the woman, and she works with PR through the hospital, and yet when they come home, it's just a battlefield, and neither of them really know Christ, and that has a lot to play to in the marriage. And so it's such a wholesome movie, but it does have some hard-hitting parts, and there are some, like, they don't go through much detail, but some of the things that they have within their marriage, like, they're not, like, the filmers were not afraid to go there with some of the issues that could arise within a household, if that makes sense. Like, they call it parasites in the movie, where these are just little things that you kind of allow in the marriage and really be detrimental to it, and they're not afraid to name what those are. Basically what I have to say about that. But it is, like I said, very heartwarming, and you know, if you want a good cry but a good story, I would recommend that one. And I would also recommend all of his other movies. Anyway, that was last night, so I will talk with you in another segment. Okay, as I was cleaning out my Don't Wake the Bear mug, which has all the library books that I'm interested in reading as part of my game, I came across this. Can you see that? Home of the Brave, and this is by Catherine Applegate, and this is actually a poetry book. So if you saw my TBR game, I am doing Chantel's Read Your Bookshelf Challenge, and for June, the Montgomery Path prompt is to read a poetry book, and I actually picked up Aerial Poems by Sylvia Plath because I tried to find a poetry book, essentially, and not realizing that I had this on my TBR. So I'm going to go ahead and do it, just because I'm not a big poetry reader, but since this book was on my original TBR and I somehow missed it, I'm just going to go ahead and not read this book and go ahead and get this one. So I'm sorry if you were hoping I would read a Sylvia Plath book, or if you didn't care, that's fine, but I'm going to switch it out because yeah, it just didn't make sense to me to read something that I wasn't interested in when I had something that I was, that fit the prompt. So Home of the Brave is written by Catherine Applegate, and basically it's a young adult poetry book, and it says Kek comes from Africa. In America, he sees snow for the first time and feels its sting. He's never walked on ice, and he falls. He wonders if the people in this new place will be like the winter, cold and unkind. In Africa, Kek lived with his mother, father, and brother, but only he and his mother have survived, and now she's missing. Kek is on his own. Slowly he makes friends, a girl who is in foster care, an old woman who owns a rundown farm, and a cow whose name means family in Kek's native language. As Kek awaits word of his mother's fate, he weathers the tough Minnesota winter by finding warmth in his new friendships, strength in his memories, and belief in his new country. So, I am going to pick that up. Sounds very interesting, and you know what? I have time today, so I might just run to the library, drop off some books, and pick up that one. So, you're coming along with me on the ride. Okay, good morning. It is Thursday, June 6th, and you saw yesterday I had little clips of the airport, or rather the window of the plane, and I think that's all that I filmed. It's been a pretty long day. We're really tired, but funny story yesterday. So we had a pop-up storm that came, and it really came in strong out of nowhere, and that we were afraid it would delay our flight because we had an early morning flight. And I don't know if it did or did not, but we had some members of our team that we're traveling with who traveled earlier and were talking about how much turbulence they had. So my husband and I, we rode with our coordinator from our church, and she was letting us know like there might be turbulence, and we have flown since I think 2020. I can't really remember the last time we've flown, so of course we were a little nervous, but we get to the airport and it was all smooth sailing until they started to delay our flight, and I think they overbooked it too, so we had to delay a flight for about 2 hours. But I think that helped in the long run because we experienced virtually like little to no turbulence out in the plane. So I think even though it was annoying that we were delayed, I think it was a blessing in disguise because we just didn't experience that turbulence. So that was nice. And then we picked up our rental, came to the hotel, which, by the way, they did not have our rooms. Like, they gave our rooms away. And again, my coordinator, I felt so sorry for her because she does a lot of work, y'all, and she puts time and effort into this. So she felt like, you know what, I should confirm the rooms again, and she had confirmed it multiple times before. And when we arrived in Atlanta, they mentioned how they didn't have any of the rooms for her because someone canceled them. So now she's trying to frantically talk to someone and like get that situated, which thank the Lord it happened. But man, bless her heart, she really does a lot for this. And I guess it just opened my eyes just traveling with her to see how much she really does put into this, and she believes in what she does. And so I'm very thankful that we have her and how dedicated she is, but also all the work that she has done to put this together to make this program alive at our church. So get to know her a lot more on this trip. So anyway, we're in our rooms. As you can see, I even brought my little stand because I knew it was going to film. But I think I'm also going to film a bit for our church. Just a little slideshow so the church can see what we do out here with JBQ, which is Junior Bible Quiz, and just seeing like what they're supporting. And I think it would be a good thing for them. So, and I'm vlogging anyway, so I'll probably use some of the clips I have of this trip in the video. So today is basically the day before we quiz. So this is a day where we're going to take the kids out, and we have a team of 3, so we're going to go and see the aquarium today. Kind of like a little fun day, and early bedtime tonight because tomorrow morning we're going to have an early quiz day, and then Saturday is an all-day quiz day too. So we're going to take you to the aquarium, and yeah, so we're going to go down to breakfast and just come along for the ride with us. Okay, good morning. It is June the 7th, which is a Friday, and it is the first day of quiz, and that's why I'm in my blue collared shirt. I kind of have my church logo on the bottom here, so that's why you only see that part. Anyway, you saw some footage of yesterday, which, sorry I didn't check in, but it was just a full day of going to Atlanta, and the city we're in is actually an hour out. So we just spent that day in Atlanta, and then we had to hurry back because we had an officials meeting in the evening and then the opening ceremony, and they usually do a service for that. So that's what all that you saw. We went to the aquarium. I took some pictures of the Coca-Cola Museum area because it was right next door to the aquarium. We ate at Johnny Rockets, and then we came back to the hotel and got ready for our meeting at the church, which was like 5 minutes away, which that's what you saw in the scenes with the lake and the geese, and like the buildings. And then you saw a little bit more of like what the service was about, which was to stay focused and not get distracted. And they used the story of Peter and walking on the waves with Christ, and then he gets distracted and he starts to sink. So it was a very short, sweet message, and by then we had like a very late dinner and got to the hotel and zonked out. So today I don't think I will be filming throughout the day, and I don't think I'll have an opportunity to film anyway. And then I'll be officiating anyway. So you probably won't see clips of what we do. I think the next time you will see me will either be later this evening or sometime on Saturday. As far as reading goes, I am still working through a Life Intercepted, so just making some progress through that, and hopefully I'll get that done by next vlog. But there's no way I'm going to get done by this vlog, at least not that I could see. Oh, and I also wanted to share what we got in Atlanta. So let me go ahead and prop you up a little. So I kind of propped you up a little bit on this table, but one thing that we got in Atlanta is this very pretty ornament, and that's a glass ornament of a sea turtle. And if you are new to my channel, every Christmas we decorate our tree with ornaments from all the different states we've traveled to, and our goal is to get to all 50 states, and we try to find a unique one, and it's like our travel tree. And I haven't featured it before on my vlogs during Christmas, so if you want to check that out, that's I would recommend seeing that. But it has all the different states that we have visited. The next thing I have is this cute little stuffed penguin, and this is going to go to one of my nephews. He loves stuffed animals, and so we're going to surprise him with that. Last but not least, for my older nephew, he loves bubbles, and so we got him a penguin bubble machine where the bubbles come out of his head and everything. So we didn't try to do penguin theme, but it just worked out that way. So anyway, that's all we got for that. So now we're gonna rush down to get breakfast and start our day. So I'll talk to you in another clip. How was quiz mastering the first half?
First half of day one went smooth. There were some coaches who batted for their players, and that was cool. I've only made enough mistakes for one hand. So yeah, not bad.
All right. What'd you get there? Nice.
Play.
Excellent.
Doritos.
How was day 2 of quizzing?
Good. It ended smooth. It was not as many rounds, which was nice. And now kids are over here playing baseball from all different teams, all parts of the country. How is this not a good thing?
Excellent. June the 8th, I think, and we are packing, getting ready to go home. There wasn't much footage yesterday or the day before, but quick update. So we actually did very well with the Junior Bible Quiz. That's JBQ, and I know I mentioned a little bit about JBQ, but just in case, just as a reminder, or I didn't come across clear, JBQ, it's part of the Assemblies of God's Church, but you don't have to be an Assembly of God church to participate. But the Assemblies of God's Church actually hosts the JBQ events. And so to participate, you have all these questions that they have based off of the Bible. You have some quotation questions, which are based strictly like scripture, and they're verses that children memorize. But essentially you have point values from 10, 20, and 30 points, and it's just a team-based competition where you can compete with other churches, and it's a competition, yes, but it's also getting the word into the children's hearts, and it's a good discipleship program too, because you can sit and talk with the child about the verses or the questions, and it's throughout the whole Bible. So you compete against local churches, and then you compete against your region, and then if you make it to the top 4 or something in your region, you go on to nationals. So it just, I don't know, it's really cool to see kids from around the country who are quoting these scriptures. My husband and I do help participate in this. We are both officials within our district, and we're kind of like the traveling officials, so to speak. I score keep at these events, and my husband, he is quizmaster, which is the person who reads the questions and who's in charge of the room. And so I hope that makes a little bit more sense of what it was that we did on this trip. We had a fun day for these kids to kind of help them relax and be able to enjoy their time, and their kids, they need some day to kind of recuperate. That's what the aquarium trip was for. And then we went to bed early and started quizzing on the next 2 days. So out of 80 teams that got to go to nationals, we placed 18th out of them. And so they did an awesome job. And yeah, it was a good day. And today we are headed back home. And so we're just packing, and so I think this is just going to be my outro. I hope you enjoy this vlog and kind of saw a little bit of our trip and kind of know a little bit more about Junior Bible Quiz. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will see you in my next vlog. Bye.